Determine an equation of a line given in slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept. This is usually your step one in graphing. This is usually how we get to another point. Given two non-intercept points. So we spoke about an intercept point kind of being 0 and 2, or maybe a 3 and 0, where one of your coordinates ends up being a 0. That's an intercept point. So first thing we're looking for is rate of change when we're dealing with our coordinates here. And that rate of change, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, that's going to give us our slope. Now keep in mind, generally what we do is we make this x1, y1, x2, y2. But if you decide to make this your x1, y1, and this your x2, y2, you will end up with the same exact slope. There will be absolutely zero difference between the two. But if first comes first, then let's call it x1. So let's go -5. Be careful. The equation calls for a minus, so you're going to keep that minus sign. You're doing minus a -2. I'm sorry, this actually should be a 6. 6 for my y2. -6 minus a -2. And then -5 minus a -6 here. -5 minus the -6. Now we have a double negative. You did not add, so you added. -6 plus 2, that's a -4. -5 plus 6, that gives us a 1. Now generally we do assign the negative to the top number because we want to go up or down, but this is saying, and you could say this is as a whole is a -4 over 1, a negative slope. Now we're looking for slope-intercept form here. We're looking for, yes?
When you graph that, when you graph the top number, you still go up, and then...
No, we're going to assign, so when we graph a slope, we're basically assigning the negative to the top, so we can determine right away, this is negative, so we're going to go down, and then we like to go over. We like to just take the negative sign to the top number, and that's how we determine whether we're going up or down, and then always over. Basically because this is a positive number, and we're always going to leave it a positive number, we're always going to go to the right. So if you had a +4 over 1, we assign the positive to the top number because, okay, I know I'm going to go up and over. We like to say over. That's right away. That's what you're picking up on. Okay? Now, a great tool for you guys to use to get to your slope-intercept, okay, is to use a point-slope form. Okay, so basically what you're doing, think about the title there, point. You're using a point and you're using a slope. You can use y2, x2. Generally, it's just best to use the first point they give you. Sometimes as you practice this, you'll see one will have a 0. So maybe that's a better one to pick because it's easy to distribute. But we'll just go ahead and plug in y minus your -2 is equal to, we've got a -4 over 1 for our slope. We could just say this a -4. We're going to do that because that helps us to distribute. Don't forget though, this is our -4 over 1 slope here. X minus a -6. This is an important part. The understanding that your formula has a negative in it, and you're subtracting a negative number, so your y1 is negative. You have to keep that negative. Working with your signs here and being able to identify negatives is important. So let's say we have a y plus 2. Distribute -4 times x. Well, you know what? Let's not distribute just yet. Let's change this sign. -4 x plus 6. Let's not distribute just yet. Let's change the sign. Now I'd say we could distribute here. Y plus 2 is equal to negative 4x minus 24. Subtract the 2. Y is equal to negative 4x minus 26. Now again, graphing that, this would be our first step, going to negative 26 on our y-axis, plotting that point, and then going down 4 and over 1. But right now we're just trying to determine a slope-intercept form. We're just trying to get, this is a powerful equation. It's very easy to graph. It gives you a starting point at your y-intercept, and it gives you a slope of where to go next. Let's just take another look at a quick example here, maybe with not so much notation, and we'll just say, okay, I got my x1, y1, x2, y2. 18 minus 16, negative 12 minus 6. I like this one because you're doing 18 minus 16. On the bottom, you're doing a negative 12 plus 6. So you actually end up with a negative, a number that's greater, so you're adding the 6 to it. You end up with a negative 2 over a negative 6. Oh no, positive 2 over a negative 6. Now here's that idea, the bottom number is left negative. Okay? And this is a fraction in which we can reduce this too. We can simplify and reduce to lowest terms. So there's two things to consider here. One, reducing to lowest terms. And two, the fact that a positive and negative here, we're going to make this whole slope negative, maybe taking the negative sign off the bottom number, and then kind of making it look like a negative 1 over 3, so that we can say, okay, we're going to go down and over. That's really going to help us with our slope. And then if we're trying to find our slope-intercept form, y minus 16 is equal to negative 1/3 x minus a minus 6. We end up with y minus 16 is equal to distribute negative 1/3 x plus, this was a plus 6. Now we'll just take a look over here. You're distributing the negative 1/3 times the 6. Negative, positive 6, which is really a 6 over 1. When multiplying fractions, you just multiply the top number and the bottom numbers and actually reduce this to a negative 2. I've taken the negative 1/3. Don't forget, I have to reduce to all terms on the inside. I recognize that this was a plus 6. I'm multiplying the 2. Negative 1 times 6, negative 6, reduce negative 2. And then we want to get y by itself because that's what our slope-intercept form looks like. So we're just going to add the 16 to both sides. You have two numbers with different signs. What's the difference? Right? Difference is about 14. Difference between 16 and 2 is 14. The bigger number is positive. So we're going to call this negative 1/3 x plus 14. Again, gives us our slope and y-intercept. You could go on a graph, find the positive 14, and then you'd be going down 1, and then over 3. Easy to work with. Down 1, over 3. You guys have questions on that? That one we kind of... Hello? How come it doesn't want to stop?
Magic words.
What?
Magic words.
Please stop.